Do you consider yourself normal? Then this is not the show for you. Please go somewhere else. This is WYRD. If it's getting weird, it's got to be the Weird Mountain Gals show. You're listening to Byron and Alicia, the Weird Mountain Gals.
So, did y'all have stockings growing up? Did you hang up your stockings for
We
Santa?
had stockings. We did. We had a tree. We had stockings. We had Country Santa.
What is that? Tell me.
Well, Country Santa is the voice that sounds suspiciously like your great uncle that calls you on the phone and says, "Hey there, Alicia," except in your great uncle's voice.
Right.
Ho, ho, ho. and with each ho had 2 syllables.
Ho.
Ho, ho, ho. And have you been a good girl? You know. And I would talk to Santa Claus.
I love it.
Because my grandparents wanted me to talk to Santa Claus. But if it wasn't for their urging me to do it, I would not talk to Santa Claus because it sounded kind of creepy. It's like he wanted to sound like my uncle. No, thank you. I was very confused for a while.
Oh, gosh. I remember my cousins, their dad worked at Sales Biltmore Bleachery, and they lived in the Mill Village when we were real young. And Santa would come through the Mill Village on a fire truck. And I remember being on their porch and, look, it's Santa Claus. Santa Claus is on the fire truck. Look at that, look at that.
And didn't have any idea that was not the tradition, or
No,
Santa was always on the fire
everywhere.
truck.
Who knew?
Santa was magic.
Santa still is magic.
Santa
Very
is magic. Yeah, you're right about that.
There's magic everywhere, and Santa's got some of it.
Santa's into technology now, too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
NORAD tracks him every
That's
year.
right.
You can ask Alexa all about him. And
You can ask Alexa about just about anything.
yes, you can.
Golly. Anyway, we'll save that for another show, our moments with Alexa, because that's creepy.
So how did y'all do it as far as unwrapping presents? Did you do it one at a time, or did you just get in there and everybody just dug in, or
It was just a free-for-all.
Was it a free-for-all?
Damn free-for-all.
and then the food afterwards or before?
Oh, God. Well, and the alcohol. You know, we had the same curse that a lot of Appalachian families did, that my mother and father were both just drunks. They were functional alcoholics, and we'd get up, my brother and I'd get up early in the morning to see what Santa had brought and open presents from, our grandparents or whatever. And my parents would start drinking Bloody Marys as soon as we woke them up.
Well, it's a holiday.
Yeah, but that's true.
There's a line in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation where I guess it's Ellen. She says, well, it's the holidays, and we're all in misery.
So we would open all the presents and eat like chocolate-covered cherries and crap like that. And then at some point, we'd go to my grandmother's house.
And do Christmas again.
And then we'd have like Christmas dinner usually there. She would have cooked Christmas dinner. But by then, everybody was just drunk as skunks.
Well, we did Christmas on the 24th. Everybody showed up at Grandma's house, at my Mama's house, and all the Christmas presents would get exchanged, and we go to bed, and the next morning Santa would be there.
Yeah, I had a cousin who did that, but we didn't. My grandmother occasionally enough that it started.
You've never been so excited as you were when that fella compared you to Dolly Parton.
Oh my goodness! When he said, I couldn't believe it. He said, "You sound like Dolly." He said, "You are like Dolly Parton," and I said, and I gestured from below my chin and above my hairline, and I said, "Not in any way you could notice." And he said, "No, your voice. You sound like Dolly Parton." And I just went, "Bless you, bless you, bless you."
That's a high
I need
compliment.
to give you money.
That was a high compliment.
It really was.
And
golly.
And you were pleased. And I guess that I wanted to talk a little bit about Dolly Parton, because I was thinking the other day about her, and she's kind of turned into the Patron Saint of Appalachia.
That's right. Nobody can say anything against Dolly.
Nope.
And everybody loves her, and with good reason. Because she's somebody who came out of this region, and she looks back on that with happiness and pride, and then she does work in the region. She does amazing stuff here.
And she owns a park called Dollywood out in Gatlinburg, or is it Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge or something?
Yeah.
And that has a huge impact financially on the area. A lot of people come out. They're paying a lot of taxes. They're employing a lot of folks. And Dolly Parton has just been one of those saints, just those Appalachian saints.
She is a saint.
Yep.
And after that big old fire in 2016, she put her money where her mouth was.
She did, and the residents out there were getting checks for 4 figures every single month.
Yep.
She helped them get back on their feet. And so, what can you say about her? For that, she has achieved modern sainthood as far as we're concerned.
She's our matron saint, the Matron Saint of Appalachia. And there was a hilarious meme that came across social media that was Dolly Spartan.
No.
And it was like Dolly Parton, but dressed as a Spartan warrior. And I was like, hell yes, Dolly Spartan. That's right.
What was the size of her breastplate? Probably customs, I guess.
I tell you, my favorite story about Dolly Parton is somebody interviewed her, and they asked her how long it took to do her hair. And she just laughed and she said, honey, I don't know. I'm never there.
Yeah, that's the thing about Dolly and Appalachia and some of the females in Appalachia. We just have that attitude. She has this attitude and always did, even when it wasn't exactly proper.
Yeah.
She was wearing big wigs and makeup and long nails.
Spangles and that tiny little waist and those big old chests.
Big old chestesses.
Lousy.
And she didn't apologize for it.
No. And she never has, and she never will.
And she wrote some real good music that was the backdrop to so many of our lives. This time of year, I start thinking about Hard Candy Christmas, that song. You remember that song?
Yes. And that coat of many colors that my mother made for me.
That was, the Joseph's coat that she was talking about.
Oh, gosh, that was, heartbreaking. And she doesn't sugarcoat what it was like to grow up poor here.
Nope.
She's very clear about what that was.
That it was cold and there wasn't a lot of food. And it wasn't an easy thing.
There wasn't extra money. Sometimes there wasn't money at all, but there certainly wasn't extra money.
That still goes on,
Yeah, absolutely it does.
Yeah, it's a shame. Anyway, I remember that song, the Hard Candy Christmas song.
Yeah.
And I'd go around this time of year singing it.
Yeah.
And what it meant to me personally was the story of the little girl remembering her Christmases. And I would think about my grandma. And I would wonder if, I would assume that that's the kind of Christmases that they would have. I heard about things like circus peanuts and apples and oranges and all of that for Christmas, but I never did experience it. What I experienced was a lot of presents wrapped under the tree and a lot of relatives who loved me and made a big fuss over everything. But that made me very lucky, didn't it?
It did, and you are the kind of person who recognizes that good fortune and meets it with gratitude. Yeah, I wrote a story about Christmas when I was younger, about my brother and I going up on the mountain to cut down the Christmas tree. And it was an adventure.
I have cut down a Christmas tree before.
Oh, Lordy, me too. Plenty of them. And they're always too big. Always.
They're always too big, and they're not shaped pretty because they're not grown on a tree farm usually.
Exactly. And they were always like, what is that, awful yellow pine or white pine or whatever that is. But, boy, they smell good.
Yeah.
They smell real good.
Do you remember Mistletoe? See, I don't know if it's still popular nowadays.
It is, but when I was a kid, it wasn't a thing, really.
It wasn't?
I remember my grandmother, when I must have been in high school, I had heard about a kissing ball, And that's just this little decorative thing that hangs up and has mistletoe, and you kiss underneath it.
It's usually plastic.
Yeah, but I heard about that, I think, in Dickens or something like that. It was not traditionally Appalachian.
We used to go look for mistletoe when it would start getting cold. And when the leaves would come down from the trees, then you could see where the mistletoe was. Because it was usually in the top of the really tall oaks. I think it was oaks. Yeah, it was oaks.
Yeah, mostly oak, hardwood for sure.
So I did not, I think maybe once or twice I've done it, but usually I didn't. Usually there'd be some relative or somebody who would come by and knock on the door, and they'd have a whole bunch of mistletoe, and they'd just say, "You need any of this mistletoe?" And they'd put it in little pouches and put it on the tree every now and then, and we would hang it and so on and so forth. And I always loved mistletoe, and I wanted to cultivate it. And I still do. I don't care if it's not cool. I just think they're...
In Britain, mistletoe grows on like apple trees. So it grows low down. You can walk through an apple orchard and there'll be a big old bough of mistletoe.
Is it really mistletoe?
Well, it's a different variety of mistletoe than we have here. The mistletoe we have here really it's not good for the trees, is what I understand.
Right, I understand.
It's a different variety of mistletoe. But when I was coming up, not so many people kept mistletoe and had mistletoe in the house. As they shot it out of the trees to sell it to make extra money.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because that is how you harvest mistletoe.
Yes, you shoot it out of the tree.
You don't...
And, you can be as fancy about stuff as you want to and squeamish and, how could you use a gun to shoot down mistletoe? Well, that's just what you do. It's what we've always done.
People are surprised when they hear that. What did they expect? I'm not going to don wings and go up there and fly up to the tree and shoot it down.
I did know this fellow about 20 years ago who said he was a druid. And I was saying something about, we were doing a winter solstice celebration. I said, I'd love to have some mistletoe if anybody sees any. What I thought is they might see it at the farmer's market or someplace like that. Well, he donned his white robe, and he climbed to the top of the tree, and he cut it with his silver sickle or he claimed all this. I didn't see any of it. And then you toss it down from the tree onto a white sheet. He said he did all this stuff. I don't know what he did.
White sheet?
Yes.
He's going to be a good aim if he's up there.
That's right, dropping it onto a sheet.
That's pretty good.
But that's what he said he did. Anyway, I had the mistletoe, so I wasn't complaining.
Nice. Well... You used to be able to get it at the convenience store. Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Well, and you get stuff, it looked like it was old and dried out, and they'd spray painted it green and added some plastic white berries.
Probably they did. They might have. I don't know. It depended on if you got it from Esso or Phillips.
I try to get me a good hank of it every year out at the farmer's market, because the folks out there that come in from the tree farms, they usually have it. And I love to say, so how'd you get this? So the person can explain, well, we shot it out of the tree with a shotgun. I go, well, you must be a very good shot.
That's right.
Well, yes, ma'am. I ain't bragging, but I'm a pretty good shot.
I can hit the mistletoe.
Yeah, I can get you some mistletoe. And if you sweet talk them, sometimes they'll find you the special one with all the berries on it.
Nice. So did you ever do any workings with mistletoe?
Not too many. Mistletoe is it's a powerful plant. And the Druids, of course, believed it was sacred. I think every plant's sacred, but they believed that mistletoe was especially sacred. And I've done, some workings, but not too many. So maybe we should do one. We should do some this winter. So you want to do that? Big old mistletoe working.
I think we should. Hey, thank you for spending your time with us here at Wyrd Mountain Gals. We sure do appreciate it. I know time is the most important thing we have. So I promise that if you take your time to listen to us, we'll take our time to continue to be weird. Many thanks to Sunslice Records for all the help. We couldn't do it without you, Craig. Check out our social media for information, community, or a few laughs. WYRD Mountain Gals.
Why?